guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. So today in this episode of That's My Role, which is basically episode number 7, we are here to discuss about test engineering role, right? So if you do not know what exactly That's My Role is a series where we're covering all possible career options by the professionals to help the job seekers, the undergraduates, and the career switchers. For today's role, that is the test engineer, we have with us Neeraj Singh, who has over 12 years of experience in software testing, and he is right now currently the founder and the CEO of an edtech company, TM Square Technology Solutions. And not just that, he is the world's best instructor by ISTQB. If you do not know what ISTQB, it's basically an international software testing qualifications board. And not just he is an instructor, but he's also an author and an international speaker, and is also his own YouTube channel, that is TM Square. Thank you so much, Neeraj, for coming over here for this episode of That's My Role, where we're gonna talking about this role of test engineer, which precisely is more or less known as software tester engineer, or sometimes a quality assurance. So thank you so much for accepting the invite to this episode.
My pleasure, Mansi, to be here and of course share my knowledge with all our aspirants. Looking forward to be among one of our community. Sure.
Okay, so Neeraj, we are likely looking forward to this enlightening conversation with you, where people would definitely get to learn a lot, because I've been in touch with you, like I've been following you on your LinkedIn, where you're sharing lots and lots of information and content around testing. So Neeraj, have this first question that for you is that what kind of work does a test engineer do? So if you could tell us that, how does a day of a test engineer look like, so that people could have a clear idea of how does a testing engineer or testing field actually works.
All right. So being a test engineer, your core responsibility is to make sure that what a developer is building up, you are trying to validate it as per the given expectations from the customer, because it always goes in the psychology of human mind that it is difficult for an individual to find mistakes in their own work, what they are creating. And the very simple example which we would like to talk about here is writing an examination, where generally students put a lot of effort to write their answers to the question which they are best known to. But still, no matter how many times they revise, it's very difficult for them to identify their own mistakes. And pretty much when a teacher looks at your answer scripts and try to review that, they find out your mistakes very well. So is that something that students has prepared for certain durations till they went wrong and they were not able to find it? And they are incapable of doing it? No. The answer is that is a human psychology, that as you're creating something yourself, you think it is your baby, and the baby cannot go wrong because you are, doing best for the baby to grow up with the best knowledge what they can have. And similarly here, a developer generally doesn't tend to find mistakes. So a tester is someone who is just doing the job of a teacher, correcting the answer scripts, not the developer. Again, don't get me wrong here, because we are not, as a test engineer, responsible for finding out mistakes in someone individual. We are only responsible to deliver a quality product by evaluating it, by working on it, and making sure that we are not building something which may not meet the expectation of someone who is asking that, right? So a day-to-day role of test engineers will be to understand the requirement, write test cases to evaluate the functionalities and features what we are building up, and make sure that if the features and functionalities are getting deviated from the expectation, the report a defect, so-called deviation, is actually defect to the developer, so that they can correct it, and we can again re-evaluate and confirm that it is done. So generally, they just take care of the quality work, defining the quality in the developed product at any point of time to make sure that the customers are satisfied and happy.
Right. So it was really crisp. Neeraj, I have this next question for you, that if wants to enter into this field, right? What kind of skills and some tools that person needs to know beforehand to get into this as a fresher, maybe? Yeah.
See, again, testing is a very, very kind domain is what I would say. It does allow everyone to step into, and they don't really have to be very technically strong is what our initial prerequisites are. Even people from non-technical domain look forward to get into technological domain with help of software testing, because it does not really desire an engineer or someone non-engineer to have those technical skills of writing some programs, writing some codes, etc. So that is the first myth which I wanted to remove here from the people mindset.
Yeah.
That you should not look forward to that. Should I start with Java? Or the reason I did not do computer science engineering is because I don't love programming. And today I'm again looking forward to that. So it's not at all required. It's not at all mandatory, I would say. Optional. If you would look forward later to move into automation engineering or automation testing, etc., you may need a bit of that. But someone who is looking forward to kickstart their career as a QA or software test engineer, all they need to know is the world of testing. That what exactly a tester should do in terms of understanding the requirement, what a tester should do in order to understand a developed piece of code. Not again coding, they try to understand the functionality, the feature, the expectations, etc. And the most important thing, what a tester should possess is the perception of thinking like a user, thinking like an end user, that if I'm the user, what I would do on this particular system. Can I click there? What if I click there instead of the intended path which generally we are supposed to use? So thinking weird, thinking different, and thinking like an end user, not like a technical person, is what the mindset a tester need to have. And more importantly, we also say to a certain extent, right? Developers are constructive in nature, testers are destructive in nature. So we always look forward to destroy the product being created, and we don't want that to work because we have to justify that there are so many issues so that the user, the end user, cannot find it, right? So this is where we say that the perception is the most important thing, but at the same time they need to possess some of the intellectual thinking and sort of like analytical skills of determining certain things, that what a requirement would mean, how it could be exercised by a user, and sort of things. So they just need to know. The skill set includes several concepts, of course, like what is principles of testing, what are the techniques of software testing, what are the different ways testing can happen, and all that, which could be more detailed. But yes, having given that they have the knowledge, they have the mindset, they can be a perfect QA in the industry.
Yeah, great answer. Again, Neeraj, say to this so that since a person cannot be, constructive and destructive both at the same time, is this the reason why we have software developers and software testers individually?
Of course, that's correct. Right. I think you can make out very well now that given that the developer is always thinking from creating something,
building something, right?
Exactly. And the tester is thinking from proving that this piece of code doesn't work, right? So they are completely against each other, and they are intended to do that way or work together, but against each other to make sure that at the end of the day, we are delivering a quality product.
Okay, so if someone wants to get in this field of testing, right? Initially, what kind of tools, if you would say, exactly not tools, but if you would, someone wants to get in this field of testing, then what kind of tools or skills does the person needs to know, apart from, having the mindset?
See, again, testing, given that it's a very wide domain and there are different organizations who are trying to make use of different particular tools. Sometimes you even find organizations which are product-based organization and they use their in-house tools. They don't use anything from the commercial market. But keeping it very, very wide, that what could be some common tools which most of the organization would use, or what a general organization, a service-based organization may look forward to know from a tester who is looking forward to get into the industry, is, I think, the concepts of testing. Given that you might be having some knowledge of automation, you would say that, shall I start with automation testing? As a fresher, as an aspirant, or as a graduate, every organization will look forward to have you as a manual tester, where generally they want you to do all your work yourself to learn the concepts, build your foundation stronger than just letting a robot do the job, right? Automation is what? When you ask a washing machine to wash your clothes with programmed inputs and instructions, right? So we are not letting you do directly something that you instruct somebody else and let them do the job. Then why are you here? So they always start with a fresher to do the interactive testing rather than asking a robot to do it. So you may have to spend some time building up that foundation, building up that skill set, what a tester needs to possess to call themselves as a tester. The second important thing I would say is, one is concept for sure. Now we understand that. Second is some fancy tools which are very common today. For example, Jira. Jira is a very common software which any organization or any industry would be using. Are not only limited to software development, if I say. Even if you talk about ticketing solutions, managing their infrastructure items, or even doing your day-to-day work, you can use Jira there, right? So Jira would be something very common which I would suggest that people should look forward to. And second, if possible, for example, if you're targeting, you're very sure about the industry, how the world is going towards technology, then you can even talk about upgrading yourself towards the platform. For example, I want to be a Salesforce tester, right?
Okay.
I know that somebody has taught me or somebody has instructed me that Salesforce is trending. If you get into that as a tester, you would have a great future, right? Then of course you understand what you need to learn. You need to understand Salesforce, have some certifications related to it, and showcase that yes, I'm a Salesforce tester. So that would do the job for a newcomer to get started.
Got it. Neeraj, when we say specifically in the field of going to particular job roles, wherein different organizations have their different job titles, but I need some clarity over this because a lot of people ask me as well that we have different titles such as quality engineer, test engineer, quality assurance tester. All of these titles, does the work of all of these things is same? Or do we have difference in these kinds of jobs? Again, it obviously depends upon the company, right? But in general, if I want to know that.
No, pretty much, because that's a very common question which I quite often hear from people who are newcomer to the industry or like aspirants from college graduates and all. So they try to understand that which portfolio would be best for me or which designation sounds something useful for us down the line. And the most important thing which I would say is that it's just the organization structures. No matter what your designations are, your job role is going to remain the same. It's just that people have different country specific organization and the countries have different naming conventions on the designations. They may call you as software associate engineer, they may call you as a SQA engineer, or they may just call you a software engineer. But what is your job role, job description is different than the designation, right? Sometimes even if you're senior technical lead, you have involvement in writing test cases and testing the system too, right? Sometimes even a manager gets into the root cause discussions and participates to help people to understand that what could be the next step or workaround we can do, right? So it's just that designations are one side of it, and your job role, your job description, your day-to-day work is something different. So you should not be worried about your designation there. You could be a system engineer, could be a software engineer, could be a QA engineer, but what you should be worried about is that what is my job role? If the job role tells you that you are supposed to be a test engineer, your responsibility is to write test cases, execute them, report the status, report defects, etc. That makes you understand that you are looking forward to a tester job.
Got it. So now that you have 12 years of experience, you must have come across a lot of software developers, a lot of software testers. Here I want to know if you could tell us about the work life of both of them in comparison, and a little bit more about the pay or how, or if it's better to go into the side of a software developer or a builder. Of course, that depends upon the person to person, but if you can give a little bit of guidance that way, like looking forward to the new generations or the next generations of technology and more.
Sure, why not? Coming to the lifestyle or like the life of a developer and tester on a kind of day-to-day professional world. A developer is generally someone who's responsible for building up solutions, right? And pretty much we can understand that they're busy around the code and architecture and making sure that the things get connected and work together, right? So building a simple page like any application which you might be using today, and if you are able to use it properly, that means there is a wonderful developer behind it, right? Who has taken care of all your use cases and has implemented it, and it is working fine right here. The second thing is not just that person alone, given that we have now understood that psychology of human being is not to find their own mistakes. So QA has pretty much done equal piece of work to make sure that if developer internally went wrong when they created the code for the first time, this tester has caught it, right? And proven that we need to fix this issue. And today you're not facing a challenge is because there is a QA who has done his job perfectly well, right? So that is some of the foundation thing, that they all have their own responsibilities. There is no comparison between these two roles. They are busy with their own stuff, making sure that the program works pretty well as expected. There are no issues in that. But there is someone who is again responsible to make sure that if developer misses out anything, we should catch it and should not go to the end user. So they have their own responsibilities and they are pretty much doing it from their perceptions to make sure that the things work. Coming to the growth or pay scale, etc. sort of thing. Growth, of course, you have very equal growth. Like being a developer, being a tester, you continue to grow. And the answer remains the same, that it depends on your technical traits. The better you push up your profiles, better you push up yourself to learn new technology, new trends. As you grow with your learnings, organizations will look forward to you and you can get promoted in your designation at the same time. Plus, as you grow, you gain experience for sure. So the number of years what you spend gets just not added on number of years, it also adds to your portfolio and builds up more stronger, right? And pay scale, to a certain extent, we have a very, very, very common rumor from over a decade that testers are paid very less compared to a developer. Developer is a higher paying job, etc. I would say, I think today, given that I've quit my desk job and become an entrepreneur, is because nobody could afford me. Nobody could afford me, and I think I could be one of the example to tell you that even testers could be very expensive than a senior developer at some point of time. And it just depends on how critical asset you are to an organization, right? And it all depends on your portfolio, that how much knowledge you have, what tools you know, how critical you are to a project or to a organization. And you would have heard that story, right, Mansi, that some people would have told you, I have 3 companies and I have option where to go, rather than company deciding whether to take you or not, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Who is that guy? Of course, right? Because he has the ability and he has choice that I have offers from 3 companies. Let me decide where to go. And this is the same case with the pay scale and growth, etc. That you should have options, that people are ready to afford you, people are ready to hire you. You have to select where you want to.
I do believe in the same thing, Neeraj, that you should gain skills rather than, just going up for, I want to work for this, or people should hire me. You should actually see that which is the best fit company for me as in growth perspective, or no matter what. Like you should have, because people are looking for skills. Definitely, if you have skills, they'll run after you no matter whatever pay you're asking for. And I've seen people negotiating over the pays just because they want that particular person as a skill set in their own company. So thank you so much again on pointing out this very, very important thing that people kind of miss out in the being in the race of seeking jobs, because they're just going after looking for the companies, and just they forget about what they are offering to the companies as skills, as an asset, and representing themselves in front of the company. So thank you for the answer. With that, Neeraj, as you have now quit up your desk job, you could please tell us about what are the pros and the cons that you felt while you were being a test engineer, and while you had been in the journey.
The pros and cons are very interesting to hear, first of all, because people would certainly think like, okay, is it coming from a real world scenario, or is it really something sounding technical at the organization level? I will tell you that if you look at the workflow of a software development lifecycle, as I come from a software development background, and testing is not limited to software development. Testing happens even in hardware, appliances, wherever you go, right? Even a screwdriver is tested before it is being released.
Right.
So the point is, when you talk about the journey of any particular life cycle, be it a software development life cycle or product life cycle, anything, the last activity to be performed in the cycle is testing.
Right.
And you know the person who is standing in the last in the queue is always going to have the burden for sure. So the very first thing what I would see as a challenge, not as a con but challenge, that is a tester has to be mentally prepared to take up that workload, work pressure. Pressure in the sense like you don't have to work 20 hours a day or something. Point is you will have everything coming to you at a time. And you need to be mentally prepared that, yes, I know things will happen like this. How can I manage it? That is the question.
Right.
Am I ready to manage things? Am I ready to distribute the work among our team members and see how best we can tackle? Right. And you cannot be just an individual contributor. You can be only individual contributor from your mindset and intention, that you can think of different scenarios, different test cases, etc. But working and completing the work in that last moment and making sure that we don't miss out the deadlines is something which is going to be a challenging work forever for sure, right? No matter you become a test manager, right? The challenge will still remain the same. Otherwise, the pros, I think we are the only people, okay? We are the only people being a test engineer who has the official rights to point out somebody's mistake. Okay, nobody else in any profession has the official rights that you can prove that this person is wrong and write an email or defect on top of it that this is a justification with a screenshot. And the second important pro what we have from the same is that a tester is only the one who gives the thumbs up, then the flight takes off. Okay, because until unless we approve or we don't feel satisfied, we cannot push the product to the market. So until unless we are satisfied and we let our management know that yes, it's a go through, please go ahead. Otherwise, sorry, we cannot push it further until unless these issues or this risk are mitigated. We cannot send this, or we cannot assure you that this product will work fine. So some great things, at the same time equally challenging things are also there. So we need to just be careful to manage our challenges and be confident about proving our pros within our day-to-day work.
Right. So Neeraj, with that pros and challenges that you've discussed, what suggestions would you give it to the people who want to enter this, this field of testing and want to become the future test engineer?
I think I would say be yourself, because a tester is someone who does not learn things from book, does not learn things from technology. They learn things from being a user. If you are working on Facebook today, you are working on LinkedIn today, if you're working on any other platform and you are using it, you are just doing testing on that particular product. That's how we test a system, by working on it, by thinking like an end user. It's just that today you are just thinking from your perception. When you are a test engineer, you have to think from multiple perceptions. What if, right? So that is one thing what you need to develop in your mindset, and that will make you a perfect tester forever. And because you'll continue to grow on the same basis thereafter, you don't need someone to trigger you with motivation and inspiration sort of thing, because once you understood that what a tester needs to possess, you will certainly continue growing on top of it. And the other thing is, you don't have to be scared. Okay, a lot of people think that in order to become a test engineer, people would say that you need to learn languages or some kind of technical stuff and all. That is completely not required. You just have to get started with understanding of how to understand a requirement, how to write the test cases, etc. So that is more fundamental thing what you would need to become or call yourself as a tester. Nothing much.
Okay, so that was pretty powerful, insightful conversation. With that, Neeraj, we have reached the end of this episode 7 of That's My Role. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with all of us, and definitely your answers really spoke, the experience that you have had in 12 years. So thank you so much for coming up. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. It really means a lot, and I'm definitely going to say that this episode is going to be really amazing for the audience who really wants to come up to the field of testing. So thank you.
It's all my pleasure, Mansi, and all the best for your work what you're doing here, because I think I appreciate awareness spreading to our audience, and we make sure that we give them optimum knowledge to decide what they can pick up as their career. Thank you so much for inviting me.